Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Thanks for joining me. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Guys, I am currently editing the video and I did not notice that I was bumping music. Like, I did know I was playing my music, but I thought it was low, like you couldn't hear it, but you could totally hear it and it's super obnoxious, so I absolutely apologize. I'm gonna try not to do that again. So basically, I am making this video just a little sit down so that you guys can get to know me a little bit better. I have mentioned before that I have lupus, and basically I'm gonna explain what it is, how it affects me, and I might do like how I got diagnosed. It's kind of like a long story, so we'll see. But basically, lupus is an autoimmune disease that affects basically everything in your body, from your eyes, your brain, your skin, your heart, your lungs, everything you can imagine. There is no cure for it, but there is medication that help like lessen your or make your symptoms a little bit better. You do go into remission, which means that you are basically like feeling good, if that makes sense. Like your lupus is not flared up. There's a lot of there's not actually no actual test that can determine if you have lupus. It's really based on your blood levels, your blood count. A lot of tests on your body are done to determine if you have lupus. And then there's different kinds of lupus. So the most general lupus is lupus SLE, which is what I have. But when I first started, I had lupus nephritis, which means that my lupus started and came from my kidney. That is basically how I got diagnosed. But everyone who has lupus has different symptoms. It affects them differently. I don't think there's like what can be helping me cannot help someone else. The symptoms they feel are probably not the same symptoms I feel. Like, we're all so different. It's very sad, and it's just really like depressing, let's just say that. Basically for me, I get a lot of fatigue, so I'm so exhausted all the time. I wake up tired. I'm just always tired, let's put it that way. I do work out so much, and that helps me get like my mood up, where it makes me more like motivated to like do stuff. Working out has actually helped me so much with my lupus, as far as like my health, my joints, like not always feeling down. It's really helped me. I know so many people with lupus can probably not work out, and that's very unfortunate because it has been a blessing to me. So for me, my lupus really affects my skin, as you guys have seen in other videos. I have a video like titled dealing with my lupus rash before a photo shoot or something, where you guys can see how it just teeter-totters. One day it'll be good, one day it'll be so bad. At night it'll be good, in the morning it'll be bad. Like, it's really crazy. Right now it's kind of okay, I guess. I mean, you could still kind of see it in my more makeup, obviously, in my camera makes it look better, but it's still there. There's times where throughout the year it's gone and then it comes right back. Another thing that I have, which is I guess you could say noticeable, is my hair really thinned out so much because I did chemo, which I'll get into that later on. But I did do chemo, and my hair just hasn't been the same, which is why I do wear a lot of extensions. But it's gotten so much better, guys, because before you could see like my scalp, my hair was so thin. It just always, like, it looked nothing like this. Let's just put it that way. I wish I would have taken pictures of what my hair looked like not even a year ago. Like a year ago it was still so bad. I wish I would have just taken pictures because I would like to show you guys how bad it was. And then another thing that basically shows physically that I have lupus is these bruises on my legs. They're always there. They've gotten worse throughout the years. Yeah, they've gotten worse. Sorry. They've gotten worse. I've been using this ointment to kind of clear my, or lighten up my skin again. But I'm just came to the, like, accepting that it's just gonna be there probably forever and it might get worse, and it's really one of my biggest insecurities, and I'm learning to accept it and be comfortable wearing like shorts again. A lot of people, I've been very open about it on my Instagram, so a lot of people know I have it. Other symptoms that I get are I do have a lot of joint pain, and I do take steroids for the joint pain. I get it a lot, like on my wrist, especially when it's cold, on my knees a lot, especially when it's cold, my elbows, and it's just very random. Like I can feel really, really good. Like today I don't have any joint pain, but I can have it like tomorrow, and it's weird because I could like tell you the weather like the night before, 2 days before. Like I could tell when it's gonna rain or when it's gonna be really cold because my joints be acting funny and they hurt. But that's one of the reasons why I do take steroids, because it really helps with it. And sadly my doctor thinks that I will have to be taking steroids for the rest of my life. I've taken them now for 7 years consistently. I was actually on a really, really high dose before, and she just doesn't think that I can get off them. Another symptom that I get is when it gets really, really bad, and this I just know it's when it's a really, really bad flare-up, is I get like chest pain right here, and I believe it's called costochondritis, which means that you have like the cartilage inside of your chest, basically what's kind of like what's covering right here your heart and stuff. It gets really inflamed to where it hurts, and that is one of the pains that I can't really handle. Like I could handle it for a little bit, but I just know that it's gonna increase to the point where I can't handle it, and it hurts so bad. It just feels like a sharp pain. It's just like pushing in, and it just feels terrible. It's really bad. It gets really bad when I like lean over, when I lay flat. Like I won't be able to sleep because I can't lay down. I just can't do anything when I have that pain, and that's usually when I go to the ER and I have to get like really strong pain medication. And it sucks because sometimes I get really shitty doctors that think that I'm faking my illness and I'm just there for narcotics, and that's not the case. You know, obviously I have a condition where it's so painful, and I wish many doctors wouldn't be ignorant and just judge. I know there's so many people who take advantage of opiates and, you know, pain meds and stuff, but I really have a condition where I get really, really excruciating pain. So I have had lupus for 7 years. I got diagnosed in 2014, so yeah. So I'm going on my 7th year, and basically how my symptoms started were I started having like tingling in my arms, swelling of my arms. My arms would feel numb every single morning. My feet were swelling up like crazy. Like I am a size 8.5 in shoes, and I was wearing shoes that were like a size 10. That's how swollen my feet were. My hands would swell up, my feet would hurt, and then I had that chest pain, and I always felt like I couldn't breathe. Like I always felt out of breath. Like if you just ran so much and you're breathing, like that's how I was breathing, and it was hurting so bad. And then I started getting like my lymph nodes were swelling up a little, and that went on for like 2 months. I was dealing with all those symptoms. I didn't want to go to the hospital or the doctor because I didn't have insurance. So I was just like, oh, it'll go away, something's wrong, but it'll go away. Until one day, like, I was so swollen that my supervisor at work was like, you need to go to the ER. You don't look good. Something's wrong. Like, every day you look really bad, so you need to go get help. Finally, I gave in and I went to the ER. And at first they said, oh, you have the chest pain because you have pneumonia. And I was like, okay, makes sense. They gave me like pain meds. So it took the pain away. And they gave me like medication for pneumonia and stuff. And it just wouldn't go away. And then now at this point, my lymph nodes were swelling up like a ball. Like I had a ball on my neck. And I was throwing up a lot of throwing up. And I thought, oh, it's because I'm probably like detoxing from like morphine. It's just me, like, you know, like my body's just not used to like painkillers, obviously. But I was so bad. The next day at work, my boss was like, no, go back to the ER. So I went back to the ER, and again, they were like, oh, it's pneumonia, you know, here's more pain meds. And about the lymph nodes, they just said, you need to go see a neck specialist, ENT, and they'll, you know, check out the ball on your neck or whatever. So again, I don't have insurance at this point. I made an appointment with the ENT that could see me quickly. Paid out of pocket all these meds and stuff that the ER was prescribing. I was paying out of pocket. It was so expensive, hundreds of dollars. So I went to go see the ENT, and immediately he looked at me. He's like, no, you need to go to the ER and get admitted and tell them that I'm going to go see you. That is not normal. You need help. So immediately I go back to the ER. You know, wait time is ridiculous, and I tell them, hey, I have a doctor that's going to come see me tomorrow, and he thinks that it's best for me to get admitted. So I got admitted. The next day he came in, he did a biopsy of that lymph node, and they'd ran other tests in me because I had that chest pain still. Basically, they came back and they were like, oh, you have pericardial effusion, which means that the sac that's holding your heart is full of fluid. That's why you can't breathe, because your heart has no room to pump. You know, that's why you're always out of breath and you feel like your heart's like pumping, like you just ran a mile. And they said, we're gonna put you under, you'll wake up, you'll have a drainage that's gonna drain all that fluid out of your heart, and you'll be... No, let me tell you, I remember getting put under, screaming for my life because I could still feel them like poking me. They sedate me, like I just remember them putting like the oxygen thing. I passed out. I didn't wake up for like 2 or 3 weeks. When I woke up, I was tied to a bed. Mind you, I was just laying, and I'd be like in my head, I'm not kidding, I thought I was like kidnapped and somebody was about to murder me. Like, that's how I felt. I couldn't breathe. I had like something in my mouth where I couldn't breathe. But I could hear my parents, and I could hear, I heard like my mom or say like she's waking up or something, and then I just could hear nurses coming in, and I'm just laying there like confused, like what happened? I don't remember anything. Like, I'm looking at the date on the whiteboard that they have in the rooms, and it has a crazy date that I'm like, I don't remember that. I remember being like May. It's now like June. So at that time I couldn't breathe. I didn't know why. I felt like I was suffocating. I couldn't breathe. I was panicking. I couldn't move. I was tied to a bed. Slowly but surely, like, I started being awake more, and I was realizing what was happening, and I had woken up from an induced coma. I was intubated, which means that when I was in a coma, I probably went into respiratory failure where I couldn't breathe, and I had an intubation. I had a hole in my neck, and sometimes you could still see it right here. And that's, where they basically gave me air. I just remember a doctor coming in my room and saying, "Hi, I'm Dr. So-and-so. This is what just happened to you. I have to tell you that you have lupus." And I didn't know what that was. So they kind of briefly explained it to me. I started my recovery journey in the hospital, and basically, like, my lungs were no good. My lungs were completely flat and deflated, so I always had to do respiratory therapy, which they would put like a mask on you for 30 minutes, and they would blow air, force your lungs to like air, like, oh, it was so bad. It was just, I had major anxiety, like, going through that. Knowing that I had to do that like 3 times a day, I would look at the clock in the hospital and like freak out. And I was taking so much medication. I was taking like anxiety meds. Like, the doctors were just shooting me up with all these meds. And I would just have panic attacks all the time because I'm like, oh my god, what's going on, what's going on? So basically, what happened during the time that I got sedated for that pericardial effusion, they realized that the reason I was so nauseous and, they noticed that I was losing a lot of blood, and they were like, where is she losing blood from? So they figured out that my kidney was 20%, let me say 80% bled out. They told my parents that she's not gonna make it. We're gonna give it all we can to try to save her. She needs transfusions. She needs, we're gonna try to seal, my kidney had a hole in it. We're gonna try to seal that and like refill it. We don't think she's gonna make it. Sorry, that's not what scared me. She's not gonna make it. You guys should say your goodbyes, but we're gonna try our best. So they did it. They sealed my kidney. I had like 8 transfusions, so 8 bags of blood. I have a coil in my kidney that basically is sealing that hole so that it doesn't leak out, and it could rupture at any minute. Like, it could just, and then here goes my kidney. So I get my kidneys checked all the time to make sure that it's there. And that's why I was throwing up, because I was internally bleeding to death. And they told me, if you would have waited not even one more day, you would have just collapsed to the ground, and it would have been because you internally bled to death. And I'm so glad that my coworkers were pushing me to get seen, and I'm so thankful for that doctor that was like, go to the ER. No, because so while I was in the hospital, like I said, I was doing respiratory therapy, I was doing physical therapy, because mind you, when you wake up from a coma, you don't know how to move your body, you don't know how to eat, you don't know how to breathe, you don't know how to talk, you don't know how to do anything. You're just laying there. Like, if girls, you've had epidurals, basically like how you can't move your legs for a while, you can't move your whole body like that. And like, you can't really talk, and you don't know how to eat, you don't know how to swallow. I was eating like liquid, or to nourish myself, I was drinking liquids. Then I moved to like baby food, like puree, like they would puree my hospital food, like spaghetti, they would puree it. Then I went from like eating like soft foods, learning to swallow that, and then to like full actual meals. It was a whole ass process. I was in the hospital a total of 3 months, and I would do physical therapy as well. So like I said, I slowly, a therapist would come and try to get me to learn how to stand, learn how to like lift myself, learn how to like walk again, learn how to walk with a walker, learn how to walk without a walker, shower by myself. Like I didn't shower myself for a very long time, and I was always out of breath, so I was always tired in the hospital. I didn't see my son. Fabian, my son, was 2 years old when I got diagnosed, and I refused to see him because I did not want him to see me hooked up to like heart monitors and oxygen. And to me it was like, I don't want his last memory, if I happen to die, to be me like that. I don't want him to, like, I just don't want that. And once, you know, I started getting better and I was able to like remove the oxygen for some time, and I wasn't hooked up to like all these heart things, he would come visit me. And I'm not kidding you, the respiratory therapist, he was this young guy. Usually when they come and give you respiratory therapy, they just like hook you up to the machine and leave. I would like be bawling my eyes out all the time. But whenever this therapist, whenever his shift, you know, was the times he would come with me, he would sit with me. I had my own private room in the hospital, and the only thing I had was my son's photo. He would sit with me right here next to my bed, hold my hand, because you can't talk, you can't say anything. You have this mask on your face that just blows air every few seconds. He would hold my hand and he would grab Fabian's picture and put it right in front of me and say, you need to do this because you need to get better for this little boy. I'm just getting emotional when I think of that. And he would just hold my hand and say, I'm right here. You're okay. You're okay. I know it hurts, but you're okay. You want to get home to him, don't you? Get home to him. He's waiting for you. And I would just suck it up and do it. You want to see him, don't you? You want him to come see you without that oxygen. You want to go home and play and run and be that mom. And he got me through it. Eventually I didn't need, my lungs were as good as anybody's lungs. Of course, it's like kind of when you're out of shape and when you like walk, you get tired, or when you run, like you get tired. It took me a long time until this day. I still feel so out of breath sometimes, but my lungs are back to normal. While I was in the hospital, I did do dialysis because of the blood transfusions. I also started chemotherapy, and that was to try to like regulate my body back and start treatments. Basically, so I would cut down a lot of those steroids. So I did chemo for, I think I did it twice when I was in the hospital, and then I got discharged, and I kept doing it basically for, I think I did it for 7 months total, 7 rounds of chemo. And that was the toughest thing, because as soon as I was able to go back to work, I was going back to work, and I was just still learning to deal with my lupus. I didn't know what triggered me. I always had pain. I would always run to the hospital for help. I didn't know what would make me feel better. I didn't know why I felt that way. I was always scared. It's just been a really, really tough journey. To this day, like I said, I've learned my triggers. I learned that if I eat like shit, the next day I might feel like shit. I've learned that if I want to spend a day in the sun, the next day I will have breakouts. I do also swell up a lot, you guys. Like, I swell up, like, I will, and I can tell because, like, with my sports bra, they'll be super tight, like, ouch. And you could just see it in my body, in my face. I swell up a lot, and basically, I like to work out and sweat it out, rehydrate, and it kind of goes away within a day. But it becomes painful. Like, my skin will swell, like, I will swell up so much where, like, doing this will hurt. But I've learned to cope. I don't feel sorry for myself. I don't like to play the victim and say I can't do it. And I understand there's so many people who can't do it that also have lupus. But for me, I am doing it for my family. I'm pushing myself until I physically can't anymore. I'll stop working. I'll stop working out. I'll, like, take it easier. But if I can, I will. And that's one thing that I feel sets me aside, is like, I'm not giving up on myself. I don't want people to feel sorry for me. I don't want my kids to think of me as someone who was just laying in bed all the time feeling sorry for themselves. I want them to be like, wow, my mama is strong and she is super mom and she handles things, and if one day lupus gets the best of me, I want my kids to think my mama gave me the best she could. She took us here, she took us there. She was not someone who quit. So that's important to me, as my kids to remember me a certain way. I don't give a shit about anything else. I just want my kids to be proud of who their mama was and know that, like, my mama had a chronic illness and she was strong. I know there's probably more questions about basically my story. Maybe it was a little bit confusing, but you should do some research if you care to know a little bit more on lupus. You can always Google it and kind of do a little bit more research. But I just wanted you guys to get to know me a little bit better and just understand my struggles. I'm not just a model. I'm not just a fitness freak. I'm not someone who's just full of themselves. I struggle, you guys. I struggle. Also, being in the hospital for so long, it really triggered for me to have anxiety, panic disorder, depression, and OCD. Like, girl, I've learned to manage my anxiety and panic attacks a lot. Like, I still have it, but it's not as bad. Like, I used to have to take Xanax for it and stuff. For my depression, I was on a gabapentin, which is like a mood booster, and it really did help, and I am so happy to be off them as well. And I have OCD, so girl, anytime that I feel like I have pain, or even like every day, I hate clutter. I always feel like my house is disgusting. I always have to deep clean. I just feel like overly cluttered, especially if it's like a stressful day or I'm in a bad mood. I just feel like I need to clean, and I feel better afterwards, even if like it wasn't clean and I just re-cleaned. Like, to me, it just feels like I really did something. It's something that I don't like, because no matter how much pain I'm in, my brain is telling me you need to clean, and I could be in so much pain and I don't have to do it. So yeah, there's so much baggage that comes with it, and like I said, I don't want to give up on myself. So thank you guys for watching.